Did you do anything last week during the week that you care
Yeah, yeah.
to share?
Had a lot of fun working on a fighter jet, which was way too uh ambitious of a project to finish, but it was fun to work on some
Oh,
of the techniques. So I didn't finish a fighter jet, but the um starting with a little drawing, coloring, shading, all of that was fun to do, and it was enough progress that I like enjoyed. It was like, okay, I can see the power of what we're learning.
hmm. Good.
That was good.
Do you, can you
I can email it to Claire if you want to see it, but
yeah.
you can let
Yep.
me know if it looks like a spaceship or what you think it looks like.
Well, Christian, I'm going to put Tom's email address in the chat
Okay, perfect.
so this way you can email it.
Yep.
Tom?
I'll email it straight to Tom.
Yes.
Okay.
Coming right up.
Oh, and I still didn't do what I was going to put in the chat.
What?
Oh,
The, pic, the picture that we're going to use, well, you can use any picture that you want, but the picture that I'm going to use is the example today. So if everybody wants to draw from the same or paint from the same one, you can. So,
Okay, here it goes.
okay, Tom.
I just put the picture in the chat.
Ah, thank you.
Okay.
But if you're going to put it on the screen for us, that'll be even better.
That's what I'm going to try to do.
Okay. Christian, did you email Tom?
Yes, I just emailed him. I emailed the full file, so it might take some time to
Yeah.
download it, but like the full sketchbook file.
Oh, so I should open it with that. Um, First, I have to get to my email. Here we go. It's already here. Cool. Looks neat. Look, top-down view.
Yeah. So to me, the reference image is much more detailed, but I'm like, oh, even looking at it, even the reference image, I'm like, yeah, it's kind of hard to know it's a spaceship, but or a fighter jet, but I was I was very happy. I started off with the top circle portion, which I think once I started working on I guess more of the body of it, I started feeling like I was getting some layering and some of the texture and some of the shape started feeling really nice to work with.
And you're definitely getting some depth, and you're using the shading really well for especially. Have you done it before? I mean,
Um,
besides last week?
I don't know if I've ever done painting, but I've done, some photo manipulation, but more like stuff in Illustrator, some more vector stuff. And then traditional drawing, yes, but not too much digital and not too much color. But
Oh,
um, yeah, I think probably the drawing experience was like helped a lot. But like working with color and digital painting it's been a lot of fun to work with. So I had fun with that this week.
excellent. Looks really good.
Thank you.
Do you want to add anything, Claire? Or
I'm so impressed.
I was watching a video of digital painting, and the person was like starting with an apple. I'm like, oh yeah, this was already a couple of days after I'd started this like little homework. I was like, oh yeah, I think there's a reason why you start with simple objects. So like the cup last week, I was like, okay, that was something I could really work on without getting into too much complexity or detail.
It was good
But
to take on a challenge like this, though. That's
yeah,
all.
I think for some reason it interests me, and I think it was a couple of days ago. I was like, well, I'm not going to finish, and I'm like, well, I think that's okay.
Okay. Um, Today we're going to work a little bit more on stuff that we worked on last week. Um, like we started how to manipulate brushes with the puck and colors with the puck. I'm going to show you more in depth how to use those things, and I'm going to do that picture of the barn that I have up on my screen now. I put a copy of that in the chat. So if you want to download it and work on the same picture, I already started drawing some guidelines for myself. Um, I did something similar this morning, and it took me like an hour and a half. So this is probably going to take a couple of lessons worth of time. So we're not going to finish it today. I just I started this like I do any sort of a painting, not like I did last week, but with just painting. I'm starting with a sketch, so I know where things go and how the composition is going to be. I started with an 8x10 sheet because this is a 5x4 picture, and so I'm just doing the same proportions. And I like to work as large as I can as far as the canvas goes. Um, it takes up more memory, but I, how much RAM do you have on your computer, Christian?
I guess 16, so I
Okay,
should be
that's a
okay.
good amount, yeah.
Yeah.
And iPads come with they have less than that for RAM, so I think it's more like 6, and that's fine. I have been able to create pictures that are too big for the iPad and too big for the Android, but it's probably best not to. And so I'm going to start just drawing out.
Hold on.
Oh,
Do you want us to put these marks on our own version of this drawing before you continue?
sure.
Well, that would be a good idea, perhaps.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Are you all done already, Christian, or am I just falling behind here?
No, no, I just set up my file. So roughly eight and a half out by 11 is fine, is what you said?
yep. Okay.
8 by 10.
8x10 actually.
8x10. Okay.
Yeah. I have a friend that likes to use the grid method for doing these type of things, but I just go at it. But a lot of people use the grid method.
So
I'm not trying to make an exact copy of this painting. I'm trying to make my own. I mean, an exact copy of this photograph. I'm just trying to make a painting.
yeah.
That has a similar feel to this.
Tom, this main line that goes across, like that's horizontal, is that the bottom of the barn? Is that what you established?
Yeah, it's the bottom of the barn.
And so therefore, the line that's below it, that would be where the water meets this grass or this, that's why
Yeah.
it's a little inclined.
Yep. And the line in the back, the highest line, that's just the top of the trees in the
Yeah.
background.
Yeah.
And now I'm going to start sketching the barn in here.
So what tool are you using?
I'm using
fishing.
I'm using the basic brush library. I'm using the top pencil,
Okay. I think that's
and
good.
I'm just using brown as the color that I'm sketching with. It's a nice neutral color. Won't show through too much. Hopefully not at all by the time I'm done.
So now we're drawing the barn.
Yes, if you've completed the lines. You can measure to get your proportions right. Everybody loves to measure.
You need instructions on that, Christian, or you're good?
I've run into a small technical issue that I think I just fixed, but it was easy when I was working on my homework to have a second monitor, but for
Mm-hmm.
some reason now when I've gone into my walk-on tablet settings, but for some reason now it's extending kind of the display. It's before I could draw right on one display and it was no problem, but now it's being a little funny. So I hope it feels like it's better now. Oops. So the measuring, I guess I think I'll be okay, but if I
I just
run into any problems, I'll let you guys know.
I use my Apple Pencil, or you could use your stylus as a guide. It's like the side panel of the barn and the whatever part of the barn that looks like it's the back of the barn because there are no doors on it. They're about the same width as each other.
So if this is too complex of a building, then you can remove the extension on the right, correct?
Oh, of course. Yeah, you can make it however you want. This is just to get a hang of trying to make something look well. You already did it with the fighter jet, but trying to make something look like it looks, by keeping it simple.
KISS.
And I'm not going to draw the trees with the branches in the background, just because I think I'd rather just paint those guys in with a different tool. And if I put in the pencil, it might make things a little confusing. It's like that with most of the stuff in the scene. But one thing we're going to be working on is the reflection in the water. And if you want, it might be a good time to use the ruler to make sure that your edges don't go, well, your edges, the edges of the building and the reflection should match up with the edges of the building and the reflection. Did I say that reflection twice?
No.
But you want to make sure that, whoops, I did put the ruler. There we go.
How do you put the ruler in?
There's a toolbar up at the top,
Yeah.
and next to the paint can,
Oh, yes.
there's a ruler tool.
So you click on it.
Yep. And mine automatically selects the straight ruler.
Okay, yes.
It's highlighted in blue.
Yes.
There are a few other tools there too, like a curve,
Yeah.
but I just was going to use the straight ruler.
Yes.
Whoop, I grabbed the canvas instead of the ruler. But
Oh,
twist
then
the
you can
ruler around.
ruler. See? That's pretty good.
I almost did it by eye.
Yeah, but your ruler was not straight.
Yeah, there's a little indicator down the bottom. Can make it exactly 90 degrees.
That would be a good idea.
And then to move it around, you can use a single finger and it'll stay at 90 degrees.
Yeah.
And you use two fingers to twist it around. So I forget in Windows where it shows the indicator, but on the iPad, it shows it down the bottom.
Yeah, Windows, it's it's very different. It's like maybe it's like easier for a mouse, but not as intuitive because I don't see the ruler. It has a straight line with points.
Right. And so, yeah, it works a bit differently. I think they want it to be kind of pro. Not everybody has a touch screen. So,
It works pretty well for a mouse.
yep.
All right. So, Tom,
Yes.
I've realized that and you did the same, well, if my ruler is there, even if I try to make a mark, not right along the side of the ruler, but anywhere else, it will do a mark where the
Next to
ruler.
the ruler. Yep. That's the only place it'll draw the line.
So, how do you get rid of the ruler? Just by clicking on the X there at the top.
Yes, clicking on the X, it'll go away. And then you can draw anywhere again.
It's doing lines everywhere where I don't want.
Yeah, that can be frustrating, especially when the instructor doesn't tell you that that's going to happen.
It's good to learn by trial and error, I find.
Yeah. There's another way you could do this that I sort of showed you last week. Can you guys remember which tool that might be?
No.
Oh, are you talking about the reflection you're doing?
Yeah, drawing the reflection. Well, actually drawing the barn and the reflection at the same time.
Oh yeah, mirror image.
Yeah,
But I don't know how to find it again.
it's next to the ruler, just to the right of the ruler.
Oh, on the right-hand side.
Yep. And it's just showing the vertical mirror, but there are multiple selections. I'm teaching you the hard way to do it because that's the way I do things. But if you wanted to, you could have used the horizontal the horizontal symmetry tool. The only thing is reflections tend to be a little bit squashed. So you would end up with two halves of the image that were exactly the same. And you'd have to figure out how to squash one of them later. Which I'm not going to go into that right now because we're not doing that. But I really do know how to do it. And if you really want to know, I'll show you. If you want to get into that, I'll show you. I'm going to just indicate where some of the vegetation along that front piece of grass is. You guys still working on the barn?
Mhm.
That's fine.
Done.
You're done, Claire?
Yeah,
Okay.
I followed your instructions. Is that okay if I don't indicate there's vegetation?
You don't have to do that.
Okay.
You can be like Norma. So So I just put these things as sort of guidelines.
Yeah. You know what, Tom? I'm realizing that the reflection of the barn is shorter
Yep,
than the actual barn.
yep, it is. Did you draw it the same size?
I did.
You gotta paint what you see, not what you think you see.
Well, actually, Tom, because I asked you what this kind of oblique line is, and I thought this oblique line was, the bottom of this orange patch of field. And so therefore I put that line there. And I know that in front of that will be this area it's like maybe ice on the water, or maybe we can say it's like a bit of wind
Yep.
ripples.
Hmm.
So this will bite into my reflection. I think it'll be fine.
Yep. Should be. So is everybody all caught up?
Mhm.
So the next thing to do is to add a layer. And I like to put, when I start out, I like to leave the sketch on top at first. So I'm dragging that layer down below.
So I tried to do like you do, but it doesn't work. For me, I have to take the layer that's below and bring it back up. I can't take the new layer and drag it down.
If you tap with the pencil and hold,
Yeah.
it doesn't change to being able to be dragged.
Um, it doesn't work for me.
Hmm.
Then I cannot
That's
drag
interesting.
the new layer, but I can drag the bottom layer, which is the one that I have the
Hmm.
well,
You can drag that up.
yeah, now I can't anymore. Well, okay, yeah.
Can you do it with your finger?
Good question. Okay, so this works. Ah, yeah, with my finger it works,
Okay.
but with my pen it doesn't work.
That's
Anyway,
weird. There's always a way. So I just put, this layer is going to be for background stuff. I like to work from the back of the painting to the foreground. When I'm doing it this way, actually, when I do it most ways. Last week, I wanted to show you the cool tricks that you can, well, one cool trick you can do with layers and paint your background afterwards. But usually I paint the background first, just like with a traditional painting. But you can do it any way you want um, when you're fooling around. But for today, follow what I do. The sky is sort of a gray. So first I'm going to select the color. So I'm going to tap on the color part of the puck, or for you, Christian, just the color puck. Well, actually, for you, you also have a color wheel.
Mhm.
A little color wheel pops up when you tap on the puck. But to get a color wheel more like this one, there's a color wheel up on your horizontal menu bar.
Mhm.
We don't,
Yeah.
ours is just all combined. And so I'm going to select sort of a blue.
but you use the sliders to do that?
I'm using the square that's in the middle of the color wheel.
Yeah,
If you go all the way down, you get the darkest dark, you get black. If you go up to the top corner, you get white.
yeah,
If you go to the left, you get an unsaturated gray. If you go to the right, it'll become more and more blue.
okay.
and more intense as you go down to the bottom right corner, and darker gray if you go to the bottom left corner. And you can do anything in between. The sky's kind of bright. It's actually almost the brightest bright in the whole scene. So I'm going to pick a pretty bright gray. And then for my brush, I'm going to select the conceptual brush. It's sort of a triangular brush. It's similar to a flat brush. It's the third one down.
Okay, so is this part of the artist brush?
This is basic. Oh no, this is artist. How did I get stuck in the artist?
So we're using some of the artist brush.
Let me just make sure that. Yeah, we're using the artist library right now.
Okay, so
Oh, we don't have to though.
your artist library is not the same as my artist library.
No.
The brush you picked is the top row in the middle for me. Because I do not have that first top left eraser.
You don't have the eraser? I probably added the eraser at some point because I always want to have an eraser handy. So I grabbed it from another tool set. You can do that. You can move brushes around from library to library or make copies and then move them.
Okay.
I should have started with a blank. Well, let's say I wanted to have another brush here from the
this is good. We have one. Let's use it.
right, but I want to show you how I did how I made my thing different than yours.
Yes.
So I'm going to use the basic extended. I'm going to grab this brush here, which is airbrush. You can do it with any brush you want if you can't find the basic extended. And I'm going to do, I don't know what I'm going to do. There's a way, in Windows, it's easier to copy the brush.
Yeah, I was able to just drag and drop it.
Right. If you do that, it removes it from the set you were just using. May as well do that though. I'll just drag it up, and there it is in the artist set. So you can mess up your sets, your libraries any way you want. To have the tools that you want to use available to you all the time. I have to figure out why that wasn't working, but I'm going to save that for another time, probably let you know next week. So now I'm going to use the conceptual brush, which is in the top row of the artist brushes. And I'm going to make sure I change my layer. Actually, one thing I'm going to do, I'm going to click on the sketch layer. I'm going to lock it. Can you find the lock icon, Claire?
Yes, I did. Thank you.
Yeah. That way you don't make any changes to a layer that you want to keep the same. It makes it so you don't mess up a layer. Sometimes before I found that tool, I would often paint on the wrong layer and there wouldn't be enough undos to get all the way back to where I used to be. And so it would just be frustrating. Lots of times now that I know what I'm doing a lot better, I sometimes just work in one single layer. But working in layers is a really important aspect of digital art. So now I'm going to paint this. Whoop, I'm in the wrong layer. See, I can't change that one. So now I'm switching down to the layer behind, and the brush isn't big enough. I like to make my brushes
How big?
uh, big. I have it at 210 right now. And I'm painting all the way down below that line where the trees in the background are, just so I don't end up with white space. I'm not being super careful because the next thing you do will be to paint over, come further into the foreground. And the next gray is a bit darker. And I'm going to show you another color thing. You could either, are you guys ready, actually?
Mhm.
Okay. I can either do it with the square here, drag down till I think the color looks the way I want it to be, the gray. Or I could have just used the color part of the puck. I could have just dragged up or down until I got the color that I wanted. And there's another way. There's they call them swatches, and you have the 9 little squares forming a square, Christian,
Oh, okay.
up on that top menu. And
Mhm.
Claire and I have the color wheel and the 9 squares next to each other in the color menu. And I could just select, well, they call them palettes actually. They used to call them swatches, but you can pick the appropriate gray from a pre-made gray. And there are multiple palettes. I think on Windows, the arrows are up at the top of that menu. On Android and iPad, they're down the bottom. I think I showed you this last week, how you can scroll through the various color, sets of palettes. They have one that's just all different grays, multiple sets of grays. And they have these multiple colors. I don't think I have it on here, but they also have palettes that you can download from their website and import them into your program. Some that are based on different types of foliages and landscapes. Some, like desert or jungle or swamp or whatever. And they also have some based on the different planets, Jupiter, Venus, Mars. I I haven't really used those yet. They also have them based on flesh, and they have multiple different sets of flesh tones. Right here is the gray that I chose for this. I'm just trying to paint it where it exists. And then the next set is a green, but it's a very gray green, very, very unsaturated, and also pretty light. But for this part, I want to shrink down my brush a little bit. So the easiest way to change the size of your brush is with the brush pot and just tapping and dragging to the left or to the right. You can also do it by tapping on the tool and changing the size. But that's really sort of kludgy for me if you do that every time. Did everybody see how I did that?
Did
Mhm.
what?
How I got to this menu where I can change the size of the brush in a way that I never do it. unless I'm making my own custom brush.
I'm good.
You're good? Okay. Keep doing this all the way down through the painting.
So is it important that it goes all the way to the building, or you can leave white between the building and your background?
You can leave it if you want, but I think it's easier to have it go all the way to the building right now, because eventually you want it to go all the way to the building. You can actually have it go beyond the edge of the building, because we're going to do the building in another layer. I like to try to plan this out as I go along. Where I'm gonna do new layers, where I don't want things to blend. So I could actually paint all the way across here, and I don't have to worry about going to the edge. Because eventually I'm going to put another layer between this and the sketch, between the background layer and the sketch, and start painting the building. Next, there's a more intense green. Maybe not that intense. And it's a bit dark too. I might have to actually make it. So the palettes can be a time saver, but they don't always have the exact color that you want. You saw how I made the color, right? The same way I showed you before with the square inside the color wheel.
Mhm.
Oh, just going to use that method again. Probably don't want it quite that saturated. So making it a little less saturated. Doing this area orange here. And it's another little area of orange here. And I'm going to go back, select the green I had before, make it just slightly more saturated. I could have just done it with the color, with the puck, but I was already in the color wheel, so I'm just dragging it to the right to make it a little bit more intense. And that's the grass that's in the foreground. Mine's a little bit bigger than what's in the photograph, but that's okay. And I sort of skipped ahead here, and I do that a lot because I didn't do anything with the water yet, or the darker orange up in the orange red.
So if I want to do darker orange, do I just press harder so that it gives me more paint?
You press harder to make the tip of your brush expand out a little bit. It depends on the brush that you're using.
Still using the same.
Hmm?
Did you
can,
change, Kristen, did you change your brush?
Using the conceptual.
right, and
Yeah.
conceptual, if you use it really lightly, it gives you a slightly thinner line, and the flow is a little bit less, but it's not a ton less. I'm gonna do something in the water here, I'm going to go as lightly as I can. And that's what you get. If you press harder, that's what you get.
Yeah.
See, it's wider and it's more opaque because there's more flow. But it depends on the brush that you're using. Some brushes get a lot bigger. This ink one, probably this pen goes from very, very narrow to very, very thick. Using the
Oh, yeah.
pen there. It looks like I put some of my grass in the wrong place.
You did?
Yeah. Should have been here, not where I put it.
Looking forward to see how you explain to do the reflection. But I'm not ready yet. Are you ready, Christian? Are you at the reflection already?
No, I'm still doing I did the grass and now I'm working on the other foliage, the brown or orangey foliage.
Yeah, me
Mhm.
too. That's where I'm at too. Our teacher is going ahead, but he's so good.
So I still use that finger technique that I showed you last week too. Just grabbing a color with my finger in the crosshairs.
Hmm?
You remember that? And if you have any questions while I'm doing this, feel free. Even a little bit darker along here.
So you paint the grass before you paint the water, or you're going to do the water in a different layer?
I'm thinking about that actually as you're asking. Um, I'm trying not to make this too many layers, but I think I'm going to do the water in a different layer. And it'll be lower than the background layer actually. But I'm thinking that when I do the building and the reflection, they'll both be in the same layer.
Okay.
And they'll be in the top layer. So how you guys doing?
Um, I have to put this foreground grass. Well, I put the foreground grass, now put it in all the everything that extends from there.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm ready to go to the barn.
Okay.
What about you, Christian?
Yeah, I'm ready for the barn as well.
You already?
I'm already ready.
Oh,
Oh,
I mean, there's always more to do, but yeah, I'm like,
I'm
okay.
just
yeah,
gonna
yeah.
quickly finish my grass. Okay, I'm ready.
Yeah, today we're mostly just covering the canvas, getting basically the underpainting going.
Okay,
Uh, and I'm gonna suggest that we do the water next instead of
okay,
the barn.
I'm ready.
Okay, I created another layer, and I'm gonna drag it down below the background layer.
Okay, new layer.
Yep.
I can't bring it under the background layer, but I can bring it up to the
Well,
bottom of my sketch.
yeah, yeah. There's a layer
Okay.
called background that doesn't really do anything. You can change the color of it, but I find that it doesn't keep the color. After you save it and you open the picture again, the background layer is white again. Or at least that's how it's worked for me. So now for the water, I sort of squint at it. I do squint at it. Um, Reflections tend to be slightly darker than like if you look at the brightest color in the water, it's a little bit duller than the sky. Not that much, but slightly duller than the sky. Occasionally you'll get reflections of light that are wicked bright, but this is a cloudy day and the water is pretty still. So I'm going to first go over this with that brightest color. And so what I'm going to do to get that color, so I'm going to grab this color from the sky with my finger.
Okay, so you put your finger there.
Yeah. You can do it with the eyedropper, Christian.
Okay,
Mhm.
well, it doesn't work. It writes.
It writes.
It puts a dot in. Oh, I have it now. Oops. I lost it again.
Yeah, Claire, I'm going to show you how to get it into pen mode.
Yes.
Okay, go to that upper left-hand square in the top menu bar. Go to preferences.
Yes.
You should get this menu.
Yes.
And I just had this earlier today. Oh no. I swear I had this earlier today. Oh,
Oh, tap hold for color picker.
well, also you want to make sure pen mode is turned on, and then you won't be drawing with your finger.
Pen connection. I have pen none.
It doesn't say Apple Pencil.
No, not right now, but I can pick that.
Yep, pick Apple Pencil.
I have it now.
Okay, and then down below,
Yes.
there's a choice that says pen mode.
Yes.
Is that turned on?
Yes.
Okay. And you should be all set. You shouldn't be drawing with your finger anymore.
Okay. So now I use my stylus
Or
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 finger.
or your finger. I use my finger. It's just
Okay.
easier. It's sort of universal.
Okay. Once it appears,
Once it appears, you can drag it around to wherever you want. See
yeah.
how it's changing?
Yeah.
There's an outer ring,
Yes, I see it.
and that indicates the color that you're getting.
Okay.
So that's the first step, is getting the basic color.
Got it.
And then on the color puck, I use the stylus and I drag down just to make it a little darker.
Oh, yeah.
And then I'm just gonna paint this whole area. Even though the whole area isn't that color, I'm gonna paint the whole area that color.
Okay.
I suppose you could use the fill tool for this, but by painting, you get a little bit of texture. Even though this water is pretty still, it does have some texture. So I try to do the lines horizontally that I paint. Yeah, the lines that I paint, I try to do them back and forth. Get behind the vegetation that I already put in there. And I did it in the right layer and everything. We're not going to do the reflection yet. I'm going to save that for when we do the barn. And I'm going to zoom in on my now I'm going to switch. I'm going to add another layer. It's going to be above the background layer. Whoops. If I can put it there. Sometimes the interface is a little bit finicky. And I'm going to zoom in on the barn portion.
How'd you zoom in with your 2 fingers?
With your 2 fingers or with your mouse.
Mhm. Yeah,
If you use the
scroll
space
wheel.
bar in the mouse, and there's a little square in the middle of that sort of puck thing,
Oh, yeah.
and you click on that and drag.
Right.
And the reason I'm zooming in is because the detail on the barn probably matters a little bit more than the detail in the background. At least to me, it does. It looks like I didn't bring everything to where I wanted it to be. There we go. I just cheated. So now I'm going to do the roof of the barn. And that looks like it's a very similar gray to the background trees on the left. Actually, I'm going to zoom in on my pic, my reference photo. There we go. It's very similar to this, maybe a little bit more blue. So I'm going to move the little circle and the square a little bit to the right. Add a little bit of blueness. Not too much. There we go. Then I'm going to paint with the conceptual brush still. Whoops. But it's way too big, so I'm going to make it smaller. You want it to be big, but not too big to paint the area that you're painting. Just filling it in with a solid color. Next week, I'll show you how to refine this a little bit. Like, I think I used too dark of a color. So next week, I'm going to lighten it up a little bit. In areas, there's the shadow of the cupola. But
Won't the paint be dry next week?
paint never dries.
That's so
You
cool.
can go back to digital and it'll be just as wet as long as your app works.
It's so cool.
Yeah, I like it. It's nice to not have to, well, at least for me, it's nice not have to mix the colors to make them match again. it fits with my laziness. Now I'm going to pick a color for the side of the barn. I was so lucky to find digital art, actually. I think I'm going to try one of the palettes, the red palette. Oh, I clicked on the wrong thing somehow. There we go. I'm going to click on the red. Oh, that's the orange red. I'm going to find a red that is pretty close. This is a pretty low contrast picture, and it appears that the light is coming from, what do I want to say, from up behind the barn a little bit, just by the shadow of the cupola and the shadow of the roof on the side of the barn. But you would think that that would make the side of the barn facing us the darkest. But if you squint and look at them, they're almost identical. Those two colors, they're pretty much identical. So my point in saying that is that you might want to, after you get your colors on, you might want to adjust things to make it look more realistic than the photo. The photo looks a little bit flat when it comes to the barn. I should say it's sort of a enhanced photo. I grabbed a photo from the internet and I ran it through an image enhancer because it was very low resolution. So it might have flattened the picture itself. The original photo might have been a better photo, except very low resolution. Oops. I think I have the brush a little bit too big still because the edges are coming out really fuzzy. And eventually on your own, when you're fooling around with the app, you'll find other brushes that you might like better than the brushes that we're using today. Actually, I think I'm gonna like this brush a little bit more for the edges. I just switched my brush to the sharp glaze so I get a little bit sharper edges here.
What's the sharp glaze?
It's a pointy brush that's below the conceptual brush on the left bar.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna paint my my light colored trim of the barn with that brush. And even though the trim looks white, it's probably not quite white. It's probably whiter than that. What are we doing? And I forgot to paint the little side building. So I'm going to grab my dark red color again from the. I'm not sure if Windows has this, where you can grab where it remembers the last bunch of colors that you used. I'm not sure that that's there. But in the iPad version, they have the last about 10 colors that you used. But you can always use the eyedropper tool to grab the same color. There's usually more than one way to get where you want to go. Now I'm grabbing the white again, or the off-white. I'm changing my brush size a little bit. Now that I'm zoomed in on the picture, I noticed that the roof line and the roof color of the little addition is a little bit different.
What white did you use?
What white?
Yeah, Christian, what white did you use?
Um,
The one in the red palette, maybe?
I created one. It's like a orange gray.
Nice.
I'm using sort of a pink. I should use the white that's under that, actually. There's more gray. Yeah, you guys don't have to come up with a painting that looks exactly like mine, that's for sure.
It's interesting now that the red's there. It's like, oh, my roof is so blue now.
Yeah,
'Cause
me
the,
too. I actually
yeah.
retinted the roof with a little green because it looked too blue.
Mhm.
Mhm. So now I guess we're sort of ready to do the reflection there. If you finished your barn. Oh, I didn't finish mine. I forgot to do the cupola.
You know, one question that I have, Tom, is will these lines continue to appear?
Mine won't. I just got rid of mine.
Oh,
You can make a layer invisible.
ah,
So if you click on the little eye on the layer, it'll make that layer disappear.
cool. Okay, very good.
Is everybody waiting for me now?
Oh no, I'm not waiting. Still working very hard. And I don't know about you, Christian, but I do use the undo often.
Yeah, it's okay to do that. I just, I don't know. I was watching a documentary on the Luddites the other day. And I guess even though I'm using modern technology, I'm sort of a Luddite. I try to, when I first started doing digital art, I wanted to do it in a way that was like using oils or acrylics as closely as I could. So I try not to use the modern conveniences of undo, and I'll use an eraser more like sort of like a rag to scrape the paint off the canvas, stuff like that. That's how I think about it. But you don't have to think about it that way.
Phew.
There are people that take advantage of every convenience tool in digital painting, and they're probably a lot faster getting their work done, and they're probably the ones that get paid.
I could think of, professions such as illustrators. This would be great for
Yep.
illustrators.
And Donna used this for her illustrations when she did children's books.
Yeah. Donna is a friend of ours, Christian. She's a
Oh,
great
okay.
artist from the brush.
Nice.
Yeah, Will is also an illustrator. He's at the brush, but he did his art the traditional way for the most part. But Donna taught me some tricks like using the fill tool. If you want to, it helped her meet deadlines and stuff.
Yeah.
Instead of doing all those strokes to fill in the sky, I could have just used the fill tool. Or to fill in the water, I could have just used the fill tool. Or any of these shapes. And then just refined them afterwards. We'll do it on time.
Yeah, it's a 7:41. So you
Yep.
still about 20 minutes.
Yep. You guys want to work on the reflection? Are you ready for that?
I am.
Yeah.
Okay. So you'll notice, especially with the barn, that the reflection is definitely darker than the color of the barn. With just naturally, it's just a little slightly bit darker. So I'm going to use my finger to select the color again. Just drag it down a little bit. Sometimes it's hard to see a real difference.
Are we staying in the house layer or the water layer?
I was staying in the house layer.
Okay.
Eventually, we're going to combine all these layers and make some final refinements to them. Oops. And I'm going to use the conceptual brush again. If during the next week you find some brushes that you like to use, feel free to use those next week.
I kind of like to reuse what you show us to use.
Yep.
But perhaps Christians, since you seem to be more experienced, you like to explore more. So we're still in the same layer now, right?
Yes.
What brush are you using? Oh yeah, the conceptual brush. Okay.
Yep. Same thing with the roof color. As I paint the barn in the water, I'm pretending that there's no water action yet. You know, that the water is just nice and smooth still. Hey, Petra, gotta wait a few more minutes. Stop. I was talking to my dog just then. You guys don't have to stop.
He wants to participate in the class.
And I saw a dog called Monkey on Facebook, and I don't know, it its friend has taught it how to paint. Uh-oh.
Nothing.
Nothing serious. I just realized my reflections aren't lining up.
Oh, that's easy. Since the paint is not wet, it's still wet. You can adjust it, right?
That's right. It's no big deal. Nothing's a big deal in digital. It's just you're not wasting paper, you're not wasting paint. You don't have to clean your brush afterwards.
You gotta
I'm
make
just
sure your dog doesn't grab a hold of it, though.
Well, you don't want it to grab a hold of your iPad.
Oh,
Petra, I had another iPad. Well, I still have that other iPad, but Petra has chewed on the screen. Luckily, it had a screen protector, so the glass is intact except a bunch of spider web cracks in it. It's not suitable for drawing on anymore. So if you zoomed in, I would zoom back out on it. Just
oh.
to look.
Okay, so I just realized, Tom, that I have put the red of the barn even where there is like ice or gray, like gray on the water.
Mm-hmm.
Does it matter?
Not that much. You can
Okay.
grab that color from the water and just paint over.
Ah, right. Is it the same color as the water? It seems to be.
Well, we have it the same color as the water right now. We're gonna be refining the water when we're finishing up the reflection.
Okay, very good.
There's even some like little vegetation in the water that we will either put in or not. I just made my sketch go away. Sometimes I'll do a really detailed sketch when I'm doing a painting. And sometimes it looks kind of neat sometimes to have the sketch lines show through. Um, at least to me. I might change the opacity of the sketch layer so it doesn't show up as much, but so it still does show up. Or I might move it to a different layer where it might still show through.
Tom, do you know if there's a way to rotate the canvas on Windows? I think you
Yes,
showed it
you
last week.
use the space bar,
Okay.
and there should be a little curve tool at the bottom of the puck,
Oh yeah.
and you just drag that one way or the other, and it'll rotate the canvas,
Okay.
spin it around.
Yeah. Okay.
It's a good idea to look at it from a different angle. Anybody have any questions at this point?
Oh, no, not right now.
If you have questions during the week, you can just email me.
Okay.
It might take me a couple hours to respond. I should respond the same day.
It's acceptable within within a day. I think that would be acceptable.
Yep.
Mhm.
Unless Christian has an emergency.
Digital art emergency.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. So, Petra, you want to help me? Want to know why Mummy's not home yet, huh? I have to do what Petra says. She's a big dog.
Or she's gonna eat you.
She didn't even eat me when I was like bleeding to death. She did like the taste of blood, though. During the beginning of the summer, I had a chainsaw accident, Christian, and
Oh,
I damaged my left hand pretty good, and I was foolishly up on a ladder using a chainsaw with one hand, and I cut the other hand.
wow.
Blood was dripping everywhere. It was gross.
Tom did not cut off his other end.
No,
He just cut part of it.
I cut it here, here,
Yeah.
here, 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 here.
Oh,
Like there were about 10 lines of chainsaw cuts, but the blade wasn't moving most of the time, just for the first two. And
oof.
I got a really
Okay.
the person
We're
that did the
recording
sutures.
we're recording this
Oh,
class.
sorry about that, everybody that might be squeamish.
You need a warning.
But see, you can still paint when you have you can still digitally paint when you
Oh,
have an
Need your
injury.
iPad set up on an easel or something. You're good to
Yeah,
go.
that's right. So,
so Tom,
yes.
should each of us send you our drawing, through an email after class, and you can critique and comment, and maybe you can understand some of our struggle that you see in our work.
I think
So
that's a great idea.
next week, then you could say, hey, well, I saw this, and this is how this could be addressed.
Hmm.
And of
Yes.
course, if Christian, if you have questions, don't hesitate. Now save Tom's email address.
Mhm.
I had put it in the email where I sent the recording, the link to the
Oh,
recording.
okay.
Yeah.
I need to find it. I can look there.
Yeah, that's okay. You have it now.
Yeah.
This is really good. All right, so let's see. Maybe I should look at mine upside down. Do you want to see how it looks funny? Oh yeah, it looks very funny upside down. I think perhaps I didn't do the water dark enough. I don't know.
But that'll be easy to fix next week.
Yeah.
Or even if you feel like working on it during the week,
Well, I want to,
I would just suggest doing another layer, and that way you can preserve what you've already done.
oh, should we save it?
You should definitely save it.
So save to gallery?
Yes. Now,
Where is the gallery on the iPad is what I was wondering.
well, it's exclusive to Sketchbook. Sketchbook has you can find it if you go into the file system.
So let's say I would like to open the sketch that I did in class last week. How would I do that?
You go to, well, if you saved, hopefully you
I did
saved it.
save it, yes.
Okay. Click on that upper left-hand square,
Yes,
click on gallery,
yes.
and there's going to be a whole bunch of pictures there.
Oh,
You can just swipe left.
cool. I see it. Oh, wow, cool. That's where they are.
And then,
Maybe I'll show Christian what I did as uh homework.
Yeah.
So this is what I did for, I'll just show you on the screen.
Oh, nice.
So I did a mug and a bottle and then the apple.
Nice.
Yeah. It's tough. It's much tougher than I thought it was gonna be.
But
It
I
was
think
fun.
it's probably because you have so much knowledge and skill in another area, so you feel limited.
Well, I tried to I tried to do the same that I do with my brush when I usually paint, and it doesn't work.
yeah, it's enough different. And earlier, Christian, you were talking about painting apples.
Mhm.
Back back when I was at the brush, when I was on gallery duty, I must have painted about 100 apples. Like I would bring an apple in for snack, and I would paint that apple before I ate it.
Was that like a, you know how like if your dog, you're like, don't eat it, you have to like have to sit there and watch, and they're watching it like right before they're eating. I hope you weren't like salivating as you were painting your
Yeah,
apple.
sometimes I would get pretty hungry. I actually drew some apple cores too. But, I made a piece that was like all the fruit that I ate when I was on gallery duty. Well, it wasn't all the fruit, but it was some of the fruit that I ate when I was on gallery duty. It was like, I don't know, about 20 little 8x8 paintings of apples and oranges and pears and grapes and cherries and stuff like that. And a couple pieces of fruit that I didn't eat because I painted a lemon. I didn't eat the lemon.
Yeah, he had some plastic
Yeah, I ate some plastic fruit.
that I inherited when he moved out.
Uh,
All right. Anything else you want to ask, Christian?
Um, no, I guess it's a good idea, like you had said, to save it and then work on any additions during the week in a different layer.
right. Or you can, there's also an option to save it as a copy, give it a new name. And for us, Claire, there's an option to just, if you go to save it again,
Yeah.
save to gallery, you can save the current sketch, and that'll just be a copy.
Yeah.
And I do that a lot. I end up with a million copies of the thing that I'm working on. And then I forget which one I'm working on. But it helps make sure that you don't lose your progress as long as you remember which one you're working on.
Yep.
So,
Like, I guess one question is where I guess we're building up. So I don't feel quite comfortable trying to work on the water for next week. So
mhm.
I guess would the next if you were working on this painting, um, would you just work on details like like windows or
Yeah,
the
windows
trees or
and adding some texture to some of the grasses,
Mhm.
like the yellow grass. The green grass is pretty smooth, but like in my grass, I would try to get it to be the right tone. I have mine a little too saturated, a little too yellow, not gray enough.
Yeah, I
Almost
think
all my grass. Yeah.
texture would be a fun thing to explore.
Hmm. And I would maybe work on those trees in the background too, those bare trees.
Mhm.
Um, Based on how quickly we move today, I don't know if we'll get to all those trees next week. But we'll
Right.
and try different tools with them. I find the pen tools, the nib pens, they work pretty well because you have control about for changing the width of the line, starting thick and making them go thinner as you go up. Just I just find that tool good for doing trees and branches. Well, trees without leaves on them. So, you have any questions, Claire?
Well, at this time, I'm good. I know what homework to do, how to work on my homework with an additional layer.
Mm-hmm.
And I will save and send you uh, this sketch that I worked on today, and I hope Christian will also send you his.
Mm-hmm.
Might give you some ideas of where we need help for
Yep.
next class.
Okay.
And I really liked doing a landscape, starting a landscape today. I like that.
Good. I like landscapes. Well, landscapes are one of my favorite things.
Mhm.
All right. I'm gonna
Yeah, you
stop
almost
the
got stuck
recording.
doing another still life. So,
Mm. So I'm gonna stop the recording.
mhm.